Up on Valley News Live 10 at 10, already strapped for staff, new concerns as local leaders begin rapid testing for COVID. After days of making headlines across the nation, Sanford's longtime CEO is out. Plus, what doctors say to those on the fence about the COVID vaccine. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
New at 10 tonight, Fargo and West Fargo public school districts are now using rapid testing of staff members for COVID-19. And after 2 days of testing, 19 staff members are out that otherwise might not be. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly explains what this means for area schools already strapped for help.
We may find out that the more we know, the more we're not going to have staff to staff our classrooms.
Thanks to a partnership between the state's Department of Health and the National Guard, staff at Fargo and West Fargo public schools can now receive a free rapid test with COVID results in just 15 minutes.
The intent behind the testing is to be able to catch any asymptomatic carriers in our staff if we have any, and then to quickly isolate those individuals before there's any rate of spread. So I think it provides another mitigation strategy for the school district to utilize. 2 days in, Fargo tested a total of 312 staff members. 9 came back positive. West Fargo tested 400, 10 were positive. That's just the start. Staff will be tested 3 days a week through the end of the year. The ability that, hey, we recognize someone that we wouldn't have known and we're able to isolate or quarantine them before they could spread that to someone else.
A good thing overall, but West Fargo Superintendent Beth Sleddy says staffing is already a big concern, and testing at such high rates, it's likely to get worse before getting better.
We may have to have that conversation about what point would you go towards a distance learning.
As testing of school personnel is just getting started, there are a lot of unanswered questions. But school leaders say any step towards slowing the spread of COVID within our schools and our community is a step forward. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
And we asked about the prospect of rapid testing students. West Fargo's Superintendent Sleddy says it is on their radar. Sanford Health is reassuring its employees tonight that all is well within the organization, despite the fact that there's been a change at the top. Valley News Team Stacy Van Dyke joins us now with the details. Stacy?
Mike, we broke the news earlier this evening that Sanford and the longtime president and CEO are parting ways. Kelby Krabenoff assumed the role back in 1996. In a release late this afternoon, Sanford talked about Krabenoff's history with the company, but made no mention of why the move is being made. Krabenoff has been in the news since last Wednesday when he sent an email to employees indicating he would not wear a mask because he considered it a symbolic gesture. He said he's already had COVID-19 and considered himself immune, also making comments lately like this one.
Hard for me to say we are at a crisis. That would be misleading from a clinical standpoint.
In the email to employees, Sanford acknowledged that staff are risking their lives to take care of COVID patients, and they couldn't be more grateful. The news of Krabenoff leaving comes a month after Sanford announced it's merging with Intermountain Healthcare System based in Utah. Mike?
All right, thanks so much, Stacy. The Board of Trustees has already named a replacement for Krabenoff, whose appointment is effective immediately. For months, North Dakota healthcare has been under pressure, with roughly 10% of beds available at any time. While there are efforts to expand the number of beds, people still need to staff them. Hospital capacity doesn't refer only to the number of beds. The number changes daily because of staffing, and nurses are taking a hit.
Nurses are working under conditions unprecedented for most healthcare professionals. They are being asked to work in conditions that make it difficult to practice safely for their patients and for themselves.
Sanford is adding 14 new patient rooms and a sports space at Sanford Medical Center in Fargo. The new unit began caring for patients on Friday. Since the beginning of the pandemic, Sanford Fargo has added 172 beds to meet the demand for hospital care. Another 25 beds are expected to be added in December. With more and more companies announcing that they have developed a COVID-19 vaccine, many of you are still asking the question, should you get the vaccine once it becomes available? Dr. Doug Griffin with Sanford Health has those to say to those on the fence.
I would recommend that people have confidence in receiving the vaccine. I can say we would not offer a vaccine that our experts do not agree with could be would be safe. So I think people should have confidence in the vaccines when they come, and I hope that they will be receptive to taking it.
Dr. Griffin also says that Sanford has been in contact with the government to determine when a vaccine would be ready for distribution here. He wouldn't share those details, but says he thinks that they've acquired the necessary storage space for when it happens. Some people may be able to receive a vaccine in just a matter of weeks. HHS Secretary Alex Azar says distribution could begin shortly after December 10th. That's when a FDA advisory committee will meet to discuss Pfizer's vaccine candidate.
We believe we can distribute vaccine to all 64 jurisdictions within 24 hours of FDA authorization. Then, we hope administration can begin as soon as the product arrives. One of the private sector partners we've enlisted, CVS Health, has said that they expect to be vaccinating residents of nursing homes, one of the top priority groups, within 48 hours after FDA authorization.
The states received vaccine allocation numbers Friday. The initial shipment will consist of more than 6 million doses. Pennsylvania and Nevada certified their election results today. It's another step signaling that the election is over and the transition underway. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is making some key introductions as his administration starts to take shape. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington.
Joe Biden preparing to write a new chapter in U.S. foreign policy with the help of some familiar hands.
They embody my core beliefs that America is strongest when it works with its allies.
The president-elect formally introduced his foreign policy and national security teams the day after the Trump administration finally formally acknowledged or ascertained the presidential transition. Leading the foreign policy team, Biden has tapped longtime aide Antony Blinken as Secretary of State.
Tony's been one of my closest and most trusted advisors.
And his top messenger to governments around the globe, a move praised in diplomatic circles.
Tony Blinken was not only Deputy Secretary of State, so he truly understands how this position works, but he was also Biden's foreign policy advisor.
In addition to emphasizing experience, Biden also keeping a campaign promise to build a diverse cabinet, including Alejandro Mayorkas, a Cuban-American tapped to serve as Homeland Security Secretary, and Avril Haines, who would become the first woman to serve as intelligence chief. President Trump, meanwhile, appearing briefly before reporters Tuesday, touting the Dow's milestone, but not taking questions.
The stock market's just broken 30,000, never been broken, that number. That's a sacred number, 30,000. Nobody thought they'd ever see it.
Then making the annual turkey pardon. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen is rumored to be the front-runner for Treasury Secretary. If chosen and confirmed, she would be the first woman to serve in that position. Hector Airport says the number of air travelers out of Fargo is down 50% from this time a year ago. We spoke with people this week who say they're traveling because they've already had COVID, claiming they're no longer a health risk to their family. However, local health experts say that's not the case.
We have seen cases of reinfection in North Dakota, so we know that people can be reinfected with COVID.
The Department of Health also is urging patience for those who are still waiting on a COVID-19 test result, as testing labs have a slight backlog and to isolate until you get your official results. In a unanimous decision today, the state Supreme Court has prevented North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum from appointing his choice to the District 8 State House seat won by David Ondahl, who died from COVID-19. Governor Burgum filed the lawsuit less than 2 weeks ago, claiming the Constitution gives him the power to appoint someone to the seat. But the court disagrees, and some lawmakers say the governor has some work to do to patch things up with lawmakers ahead of the legislative session.
He will have issues with the legislature, I think. He and I have had a very professional working relationship these last 4 years, and I hope that that will improve after this.
The governor said in a statement that he disagrees with the findings but respects the court's opinion. Woodrow Wilson High School in Fargo is a step closer to getting a new name. The school board tonight narrowing the list of proposed names to 5, either Dakota, Central, Voyager, Agnes Gielen, or Valley High School. It was decided last month that the name would be changed due to a racist history of former President Woodrow Wilson. The name will be decided on December 8th. We here at Valley News Live are hoping that you're ready, able, and willing to help the Great Plains Food Bank. We're teaming up with them for a virtual food drive. All donations will stay right here in the community to help our neighbors in need. To find out more, download our free VNL News app, look for the virtual food drive, and click to donate. Later on Valley News Live at 10, colleges turning to Instagram influencers to stop the spread of COVID. We'll tell you how much they're shelling out. But first, details on an especially important forecast for those traveling for the holiday. Hutch is here to break it down for us.